Hello, I'd like to bring this Ways and Means meeting June 6th at 4:03 p.m. to order. Roll call.
Lutz.
Yes.
Duranta.
Here.
Krieger.
Yes.
Begic.
Here.
Coonan.
Here.
Ryder.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Warren present.
Thank you. Before you, we have minutes of 5/2/17.
Motion approved is presented.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, at this time, we have public input for those that want to come before the committee and speak to our microphone and be on TV. For those that, I see they're running right to the microphone. So, with that, we will move on to petitions and communications. Under Bay County Sheriff, we have the Blue Cross Blue Shield contract renewal for the inmate services.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, we have the engineering study on the Westinghouse elevator main.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Discussion, Commissioner Coonan.
Troy, reading that information, this is going to be just kind of an engineering study as to which way we should go.
Yes, sir.
Now-
We have 3 elevators now.
Yeah, now you were saying, is there only one stairway from where you have on the main floor to get up to?
In the secure, to end up in the secure area, we'll have the one in the back side of the P block that goes down into our Sally Port area. It's outside. The other one's all exit outside to an unsecure area of some of the buildings. So the 2 fire escapes are at the very ends of the building, and then we have one that exits out on the northwest side inside the screened in area. But there's nothing from control room to control room now. Where that elevator shaft's at, there's no staircase there.
So you think you need something where they can get up from point A to point B quicker than wait for an elevator?
Yes, sir. Well, we had 2 years ago, April of 2015, we had a deputy that had a fight in the arraignment room. As we were trying to go through the secure door and trying to get on the elevator, the time that it took us to get in, it was an extra 30 seconds, so 30 seconds is a long time, a good fight. We couldn't get from the control room down there quick enough. We had 1 deputy there, 1 in the downstairs control room, and 4 upstairs. Had to wait for the elevator to come from the first floor to the second or somewhere in transition, load up and come back down. Had we had the 1-floor staircase, it would have been a lot quicker. So there's a few things here. The cost of redoing the elevator is going to be anywhere from $40,000 to $80,000. And I understand we have about $80,000 into this elevator. But this elevator is from 1978. The other 2 at the eastern side of the building from 1990, 91. And they've just not had the use of this one because they've only been used for visits to this point. By the end of the month, we should have video visitation pretty much up and running, so those 2 elevators won't be getting used at all. So we can transition the medical use there if we have a wheelchair and the food cart to the other 2 elevators and use that staircase as a proposal of the other elevator and put a ladder well staircase in there from 1 floor. And the other benefit is the officers will be able to look down from the control room and see inmates going to arraignments and coming back and watch them the whole time they come up the staircase. So don't know what it will cost, but we're just asking for the money to see if we can get an engineer study or to fix that one and to put a staircase next to it into that void that we currently have mats in there. There's room to put another staircase next to it. But at least it would save response time for a deputy or inmate that's in trouble, and it would save a lot of money if we got rid of that elevator. I think. Yes, sir.
Commissioner.
So I just want to make sure I think I understand what you're saying. You're saying you need a staircase. You'd rather have a staircase than the elevator.
Yes, sir.
But the elevator, so are you proposing that like just eliminate it or just see how much it costs to get it fixed? I mean, you need that elevator you're talking about right there, the one that needs the most fixing. You need that one.
I personally don't think we need it. All the command officers from the jail, all 6, are in unison saying that we probably can get rid of that. We just want to see what the cost would be to do 3 different things: to take that elevator out, put a staircase in. The cost is just to fix that elevator, which we know is going to be between $50,000 and $80,000 from the bids from Otis, Schindler, and Kone. And then the third one is to fix the elevator and to put a ladder well or staircase right next to it. So one of the 3 things. But we do have 2 other elevators we could use, and they're only 50 yards down the hall.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Adjournment.
Thank you. Troy, I toured the place and that, now, when you do this engineering study, as part of that, is DOC, Department of Corrections, do they have an input? Is that going to be part of that engineering study?
It will be, sir. I contacted DOC to ask them what their preference was.
Okay.
They said they'd much rather see a staircase just because of the response time for safety issues as well for the deputy and the inmate in jeopardy time. So since we're a two-story facility.
The facility looked great too. You guys are doing a good job over there.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
That's all I have.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next, under item B, we have the Director of Recreation and Facilities, the gym floor sealant. What is your pleasure on that?
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion?
Yeah, so, our gym out at St. Paul, we've had since 1969, and we've tried to do it at least every 2 years to maintain it. It's really kept the floor up. It's an old floor, but it still looks real good because and then ever so often we take it all the way down and then re-varnish it after so many years. But maintenance is really important. The old gym floor there was pretty worn out because of not having maintenance. So I think it's real important to do it at least every couple of years. Thank you.
Commissioner Hare.
Kristen, is this job being done by our workers or is it our company?
Well, so we are going to get the sealant from a company, and they did this last year too. They're going to come in, they help us put it down, mainly teaching us how to do it. And so once our guys get a really good handle on it, then they'll be doing it themselves.
And do you have any idea, like, when was it done? Was it done last year?
Right, so we put the floor in at the end of 2015, and when 16 rolled around, they're like, oh, by the way, you got to make sure you seal it again. Okay, so we kind of were able, since it was the end of the year, we were kind of able to squeeze that money out of our current budget. And so we're going to do it again this year, and then in the future, we're just going to make sure that money is allocated during budget time.
But it doesn't have to be done every year, is it?
In the beginning, it does. And then what the gentleman said is that after you get a good couple coats on it, then maybe you could go every other year. But in the beginning, it's really important to do it every single year to build up a base.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Kuhn.
Thank you, sir. Kristen, now that we know that, we got to build that right into our capital so you don't have to come back here and ask for the budget. again.
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner Creed.
Hi, thank you. There was an issue back a bit ago about scratching.
Yes.
Did we get that resolved, or the rubber feet on the bottom of the tables, or whatever it was they were dragging out there that was scratching the floor?
It was during an event that has a lot of different commodities that come in to help the public, and what was happening is while they were bringing in their different gear, it was, even though we had a covering on the floor, it was scratching. So, we won't be allowing that anymore, but this sealant fixes.
Makes it,
Because
okay.
it didn't harm the floor, like the wood, it just was the coating on top.
Okay, very good, thank you.
So that way, Vaughn, you won't have to worry about your ball bouncing around. Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. B2 is the Fairgrounds daily rental fee.
Support.
And motion and support. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under C, we have BCATS Director, Bay County Transportation Master Agreement between the Michigan Department of Transportation, MDOT, and the Bay City Area Transportation Study, BCATS. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have D, Health Director, item 1, prescription for healthy eating grant.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next is the MDEQ grant funds for surface water quality monitoring.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Commissioner Coonan.
No. If, I'm sure that you probably know where these different locations are, surface water, or do you just randomly select?
No, those are the public beaches and the
Surface
river
water?
sites, yes.
Okay, so this additional 6,200 is for beaches?
That will hopefully take care of any additional costs that we may incur over the year. If we also want to do some additional testing, there was talk about testing some of the outflows. We could use it for that as well.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Krieger.
So if we have another situation at South Linwood Beach with a closure, does that give us the ability to go a little bit more in depth to come up with a reason why that happened in that specific area and none of the other beaches were affected?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, yesterday we were at the beach closing task force, Commissioner Durancheck and myself, and we discussed at length the situation at South Linwood Beach and testing the drain along that area and the outfall. There's been some recent work there with the drain, and we want to see if that is a cause of any of the issues over there. Additionally, we talked about source tracking as well, and I know that was brought up in the last meeting. And SVSU, in particular, Professor Civi talked about the need to do that and the ability to do that. So I want to spend a couple minutes here, if I may, to talk about what we plan on doing. There is plans on doing some source tracking studies this year. We're in the process of getting quotes, and some of these funds may be used for that. In addition to if we need to come back or ask other organizations within the community. Source tracking is generally about $100 per test. The one thing I do want to illustrate and inform you about is what we will do when we do source tracking is take a sample, and generally the samples are about 1,000 milliliters, and 300 milliliters is generally what we use. They are divided into two. The first one is divided so that we can do the testing, the rapid testing, and the E. coli testing, and then the other half of that would be filtered through a membrane. And if the rapid test comes up with a high amount of bacteria, then at a later date, because they're doing so many beach tests right now for about 4 or 5 different counties, they won't have the time to do this simultaneously, and plus it is a much longer process. But at a later date, what they'll do is they'll freeze that in sub-zero temperatures and be able to freeze that, and they will take a look at the particulars of that membrane and try to identify whether it's a human or a bovine source or even bird source from that.
So, like right now, we're having a true northeastern. I mean, it started up Sunday, and here we are into Tuesday. I'm assuming that we're not doing anything with the wave action being as strong as it is. Well, if our summer continues to be this way with winds out of the north and the wave action, is that going to hinder your ability to do some source testing like at South Linwood Beach in the ditch?
I don't believe it would. Obviously we want to be able to see. We don't want to go too late in the summer to do to test some of the drains, because a lot of times then you'll have such a small amount of effluent that you won't be able to adequately test. We really want to test after rain events and things like that when the drains are full. But if they're being backed up, that could be an issue, but I don't think it really would be.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Joe. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. Next, we have Director of Housing. This is the wash laundry service for the Center Ridge Arms.
Support.
The motion and support. Commissioner Cooner.
Zach, all that information looked good, and just speaking to you a couple of moments ago with Made City Housing Commission utilizing them, I wasn't aware of that. So I was going to suggest if they're giving you 55% back, that I wasn't sure who these folks were, if they were not all that reputable. It sounds like they really are, that you'll save those dollars for that 3-year contract. If things didn't work out, then you have money to go out and buy more.
We have the option for that. With Jeremy, Janelle, and the gentleman, Dan Moulton, when we met, the idea was, because it sounded a little too good to be true at first, but the money would come back in to either pay towards our water and our electric for the service. But they like to do a 5-year contract. We were able to negotiate a 3 in the event that it doesn't work, and we will have to buy new machines.
Mm-hmm.
So
You will have to buy new machines?
our machines are at the end of our life cycle.
No, but not with this.
No, not with this.
I thought, though, if this was something that, if you got a 3-year contract and you don't know at the end of 3 years if it's going to work out, or if you're going to have to make another big investment, I would allocate those $3 for a specific line item for 3 years, and if it works out, great, you've got that money. If it don't work out, then you've got some money for buying new equipment.
We can do that.
That's
We
what
can
I
set
would
up
do,
a side
but-
account, and I'd be happy to do that. One thing I've noticed with HUD, that they don't like to get involved with day-to-day for residents. It's kind of on the back burner for them, but laundry is now a necessity when you're in assisted living or public housing, just because of the fact that folks don't have money, I guess, to support the means of getting to a laundromat. And for them, a lot of them are handicapped and they can't get places, so it has become an absolute necessity to have functioning washers and dryers. And I absolutely support putting the money back into a fund so we can look at that in 3 years.
Can they use coins, or do they need to use the card?
This will be a strict card system. The machine that will produce the card, they can use coins on. It used to be there was a minimum amount that you had to put on it. They've done away with that, simply because some folks can't afford to put $5 on a card. In the event that there is an issue with the coins, see, what we're doing is we're taking the problem off of Bay County, off of my maintenance crew having to take away from turning apartments and doing general maintenance in the building to work on these units. They will come in and do the seminar. They will do as many as we request them to do to teach the residents of Center Ridge how to use these machines, how to get money back if there is an issue with the card machine. So, but the units themselves are strictly card-based.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner
Are you responsible for the exhausting, like the whole system?
Yes. Everything from the wall out is wash. Everything from the vent on the wall in is us. Jeremy, my head of maintenance, he weekly goes through from the roof down and he clears out these vents. There is no gas involved, thank God. It's all electric, so we have a weekly basis where we have to make sure those are completely clear, and that is our responsibility.
I'm just thinking, like, some of your money that I'm sure you did those. That stuff wears out after a while too. And some of your money you'll get back in, could be used for maintenance for that too.
Correct.
I'm sure it will be. But thank you.
Commissioner Krieger.
So when we talk about vents, these vents are going to an outside wall, or are they going straight up?
Straight up to exhaust vent.
And how long have we been venting that way all this time?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming we have some type of a program to make sure that what lint didn't get blown out and falls back down is cleaned.
Right. Well, we were before, all the way around the second, the bottom, and everything back from the wall, and sure it's all clean.
Very
For
good.
fire safety.
Okay, that was my concern, especially with the newer dryers. Airflow is so critical that if you don't have it, it isn't going to cycle properly.
Yeah. And then also for the can too.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Barsha.
I defer if there are any more questions from the commissioners, and if not. Zach, I want to express the executive branch appreciation for the great job that you, Janelle Box, Dudley, and Jeremy have been doing at Center Ridge Arms. Your recent renovation at no cost to the county of the community center, not community center, but the community room, as well as the in Joy Bishop, the work that she's been doing as well with the residents. Everything has really calmed down at Center Ridge Arms, and we're making significant progress. And I know that Zach frequently is out, as well as some of the others, not just 5 days a week, but sometimes 7 days a week, attending to the issues out there. So, Zach, I want to say on behalf of my staff, we really appreciate the dedication you and the team out there have shown in addressing some of the long-standing issues, both structurally as well as the quality of the environment for the residents.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'd like to also mention that it's been a great help from my standpoint, being that's in my district, that I've stopped receiving so many phone calls about how that facility operates also. So I'm well pleased, and you and your staff are doing a great job. So
thank you.
I appreciate it, and I know the other board members also, applaud your efforts out there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So with that, any more questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor on that issue? Aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under item F, we have the Interim Director of Department of Aging, the allocations and applications for fiscal year 2017-2018, Region 7 Area Agency on Aging Funding.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Commissioner Kuhn.
Just one thing, it looks like a reduction of about $9,000. I talked to a trustee out there. Sorry about that. Maybe you can give us an explanation as to why the revenue will be down $9,000.
It's due to the federal budget that they received through Region 7. All 10 counties were affected.
And that has nothing to do with the new budget that was proposed, if that were to go through.
I'm not, as of right now, I am not sure of that, but that was the allocations that we were given at that time.
Yeah. So how do we do this? Somebody just doesn't eat?
Well, I talked to Mr. Redmond, and it looks like that our senior millage may pick up what we're missing.
And I know that's what you guys do, keep an eye on that.
Absolutely.
We need to keep an eye on that and
Yep.
let our constituents know, because so many of our constituents are seniors that may
Absolutely.
need our service. And
Absolutely.
we
And
continue. And if the mindset out there is that we're going to cut that and give tax breaks, then we need to be aware of that.
Absolutely.
And start to make sure that our voices are heard, and maybe hopefully through the ballot box. So, thank
Yes,
you.
and Mr. Redmond and I talked that it's not something that we want to cut any services whatsoever for our seniors at all. So we'll be looking at that.
You're talking the elderly, you're talking the disabled, you're
Absolutely.
talking veterans.
Absolutely.
People that,
Yep, and that's our mission.
yes, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have 911 Central Dispatch. Tony Lupo, Communications Interoperability Working Group Conference.
So, support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, under Personnel Director, we have the 457 Deferred Compensation Fiduciary Liability Policy Renewal.
So moved.
We have a motion
Support.
and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under item 2, under Personnel Director, we have tuition reimbursements for Evan Griffiths and Leah Foynier.
Motion received.
Support.
We have a motion received We have support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next, under item I, we have payables, general fund, Center Ridge Arms.
So,
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Finance officer, we have the budget adjustments for Pink County Park, county clerk, port security grant, includes letter of support for budget adjustments from Sheriff Cunningham.
So moved.
support?
We have motion and support. Commissioner Cooney.
Tiffany, we had some discussion on the clerk's request last month or last week or a couple of weeks ago. And looking at that, it looks as though you did sit down with her 3 weeks. Is that, because I don't believe, in my recollection, the last time we visited this, there was any specific amount of time or hours that she thought she needed somebody. So is that something you worked with her on, or?
It is, I have not met with the clerk at this time.
So, it said 3 weeks, right?
I believe it says 2 for 6 weeks.
2 people for
for
3
6
weeks.
No.
The budget adjustment says 6 weeks.
All right, is that something you're comfortable with?
I haven't had any conversations with the clerk on it. This is existing funding, so it went through the finance department.
She worked through budget, through our finance department, and since it was existing funds within her budget, we calculated the costs for the 2 people at the, and estimated that it would be 6 weeks. So we would hold them to that, within that dollar range.
She needs 6 weeks, do we know that?
That is what she referenced, yes.
Because I know we had some discussion on that last month. And I had hoped that did she speak with Bob or
She spoke with Kim, president's in my office.
Because I know the last couple of times she put something on the agenda that was very vague. And to try to agree to something such as an open-ended request that you really don't know. But I guess 6 weeks, 2 people, it gives you, and she's got money in the budget for it, right?
Right. There's no additional funds. It would just move from contract expense up to the temporary staff, and we would hold her to that dollar limit.
All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Creed.
So in essence, it's really not a budget adjustment. She has the money in her.
It's a zero effect, but it's moving between categories. So,
Okay.
so we're asking to move it into a wage and benefit category out of the contract. So, yes, we would need a budget adjustment to do that.
I see, shifted.
Yeah, just a
Okay.
shift, yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else? On those items. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next, we have the analysis of the general fund equity. Motion to receive would be in order.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have the Executive Directive 2007-11. Motion to receive would be in order.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have the revised memorandum of agreement with MSU Extension for extension services with MSU for the remainder of 2017. And that's a lot of words.
So moved.
So, motion and support. Any discussion? Any discussion? No? Okay. Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Information Systems Manager 2017 budget OnBase licenses and enhancements.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next, we have the purchasing agent, the credit card replacement.
So move. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Referrals is next. I don't believe we had any. Unfinished business, we didn't have any of that I remember. And under new business, we have something before you from the 18th Judicial Circuit and 74th Judicial Circuit Court. It has to do with the Human Services and Childcare Fund.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support.
Maybe Mr. Mead, being that we just got this, maybe Mr. Mead can give us a synopsis of.
Commissioner, or Chairman, I apologize for the late notice. This kind of developed late Friday, and so we were scrambling to get the pieces of the puzzle. As you know, we've been here talking about child care fund issues before and the increasing cost. Many courts in the state have decided to start suing MDHHS for funding rulings like this one. The scenario that we have here are the two children that come from a dysfunctional home and have many issues and were actually homeless living in an abandoned structure. So as they're removed to the juvenile home and then DHHS takes, petitions to take away their parental custody. And their interpretation of this federal rule then is that because they were not removed from mom or dad's home, the local funding unit, in this case Bay County, pays all of their costs going forward. We don't think that's right, and obviously other people in the state don't. So this attorney, Judge Minor, was talking with, just recently had a similar case, the same scenario that she challenged in federal court, this ruling saying that, this is not right. If you need to remove the kids, that's fine. But just because of the location you took them from does not dictate whether it's 50-50 shared in the cost or the child care fund or 100% local. The same scenario, if the kid runs away from home and goes to grandma and grandpa's and then the state takes the child, they say, well, they didn't get removed from mom and dad's home, so county, you pick up the full cost. So what we looked at here was we're running out on time to actually appeal this case. This attorney was recently successful in Aranac County, and so we thought for the cost, it made sense to challenge this because we think they're wrong. And I think I put in the letter that the youngest child, who's 15, his cost of placement are running almost $10,000 per month. The other one, when he turns 18, then of course those costs would go away. But we've got a couple years left on this child, and that's a significant amount of funding that we think it's wise to challenge this in court. And that's why we made the proposal to you today.
Just as a comment, I've been following the issue in Aranac County. It's been in the paper there quite a bit. It was nice to see the outcome that came about. Yes. So I think we're probably, in my opinion, this is the person to go with because they've got experience. It's fresh in everybody's mind, his mind and everything. So that's why I'm going to support this.
Commissioner, we get.
Yeah, I think the Michigan Association of Counties would be willing to give us some support on this too, either a brief or something, so I can take it to them. I'm sure that other counties have had some of the problems. So.
They have. Aranac County, I think the case would have been also in U.S. District Court right here. So I think this attorney is the same court, it should minimize the amount of time that they have to spend on the case. That's my thought, at least.
Anything from administration? None? Okay. Anybody else?
Just one thing, Mr. Chair. Now, this resolution, our corporate counsel, she's good with?
Yes, there was a slight amendment to the resolution that was submitted just before the hearing, just to comply with civil counsel guidelines, the fact that any retainer agreement needs to be entered into through my office.
Okay, so as long as she's happy, I'm happy. Thank you.
Okay. So, did everybody get a copy of the revised one? I believe you did. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Next, we have miscellaneous. Commissioner Krieger.
Thank you. It's here. It's June. The sun is out and the beach is in great shape. We have our beach wellness run and walk on June 24th at the Bay City State Recreation Area. So you need to get your shoes oiled up and come out and join us. We'll have our volleyball courts out on the beach. So if individuals want to come out and play, we have a gorgeous shoreline that's very accessible.
So how are these nor'easters treating your store?
Correct.
Great?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner Kuhn.
I can add to that. We had a meeting today with Ann Marhar, who's helping us put the beach wellness together, Ernie and Bob and I. And we called George from the state park, and attendance was up 43% from this Memorial Weekend to last weekend. And Nick's got some beautiful pictures, Nick, and I'm sure you're going to put them on the county's website so people can view that. And the feedback that they're getting out there from the beach and the boardwalk, which takes down to, it's just behind the spray park, is amazing. So we're going to continue to work and push and create awareness for the community and how important that recreation is to people that don't have a whole lot of resources and can get out there with their family and enjoy a day, and it's healthy and it's a good it's an economic development driver. It's, we're sitting on 90% of the fresh water in the United States, and over the last 15, 16 years, we've pushed, and now these guys out at the park are doing more, which they should be. And I think it's just a beautiful resource for the whole community. So in 2 weeks, and we're getting a lot of nice checks in as well. And those dollars will be used for whatever, to enhance the park and provide more opportunity and recreation for the community and tourists. So that's what it's all about. In a couple of weeks, we'll have a nice event and have a nice beach for the community for the rest of the summer and throughout the whole year.
Yeah, we took a ride last weekend and noticed the amount of people that were out there. It got to be, my wife commented, and they might have to open up that parking lot that they closed down again because they need more parking spots out there.
Yeah. Actually, those parking lots that you're talking about were a result of the action that Mr. Barship did at the time. So he had some foresight that park, which was at one time one of the best in the state of Michigan, will be back.
Yeah, I'd just like to, of course, thank Commissioner Coonan, Commissioner Krieger, Mr. Redmond, and the entire board for the support of beach wellness. And to say to Kim and Ernie, and Bob isn't here today, that your 16 years of hard work have really begun to pay dividends. Sometimes people wonder, is it ever going to get better? But if you've seen the Facebook page on the Bay County's website, actually, and I intend to post that on my personal Facebook page as well, and I hope that all of our county employees will help spread the word to let more and more people get out to see the improvements, the boardwalk, and the beautiful footage that the Bay County TV drone took of the shoreline, and that's a result of your dedication working with the DNR and the Corps of Engineers. And I just want to thank you for that, and I know I get a lot of comments as I get around the community about the improvements, and people are noticing. And on one final note, also Mike is doing a tremendous job as the county board is, but our Pinconic Park, we can't forget that. That's also heavily utilized and appreciated, and is a destination for people to enjoy the outdoors. But I want to say that when I talked with George last, he informed me, the state park manager, that all of the campsites were full for the Memorial Day weekend, the 3-day weekend. So that's a great sign that people are noticing the changes and developing a greater appreciation for the Bay City State Recreation Area, hopefully soon to be Bay City State Park, if we are successful in getting it renamed. But I want to especially thank the two commissioners and Mr. Redmond, who have worked so diligently for so long in terms of every year organizing this event to raise funds to enhance the aesthetic quality of the recreation area, the beach. And also, of course, I'd be certainly remiss if I didn't thank our Director of Environmental Quality and Community Development, Laura Ogar, for her leadership in securing numerous grants and working closely with the DNR to provide the infrastructure that we see there. Laura has been very dedicated and passionate, as our Bay County Board of Commissioners have been. So we appreciate Laura's efforts very much. And hopefully it's going to be a great day, great weather, and a successful event. We know it will be. Thanks.
Commissioner Durant.
Thank you. And not to be outdone, yes, our county park in Pinconning over Memorial Weekend, I was out there 3 different days, and we had people camping where there wasn't even campsites, and we had tents all over. And I hear from the finances that was financially the best weekend that we've ever had there ever. So that was great. So their staff did great. Everybody was happy. I make my rounds and pass out cards and all that. And every time I hear, quit advertising about this because we can't never get in here, which is a good thing for us. As a little warm up for this little race that they're going to have here in Bay City, we have the 34th annual Cheese Town Races on Saturday, June the 17th at 6 o'clock in Pinconning. We're expecting somewhere between 750 and 800 runners. We have Little Mises race. This is a 5K and a 2 mile, and we also have a Little Mises 100-yard dash. That's on Saturday at 6 o'clock. At 10 p.m. Saturday, we have the Cheesetown fireworks at our city park in Pinconning. As another note, last week at a meeting I attended, Community Corrections received a $6,000 grant for the OSP program, which is Opiate Specific Program. The state, believe it or not, from what Dewana Roberts is, they just sent us the money. We applied for a grant, $10,000 grant. She used that up in no time at all, and she got this other. So we're hoping that through the Sheriff's Department and some of the treatment centers, we can get help for those people that are out there. There is a waiting list for some of these places, and drug court seems to be helping out a lot. So, and that's all I have right now, sir. Thank you.
I have the resolution from the board from last month for Major Mike and Shirley Myers. We'll be giving it to them on June 25th at 2 p.m. at the Salvation Army over at 10 Adams Street. So you're all invited to attend. There will be a meal after the ceremony.
Anyone else? Okay, that's all we have for miscellaneous. I guess that's all of our announcements.
It is.
Move to adjourn.
Always in order.
Tim, could I make one last statement? I don't want to wear out my welcome today, but I want to recognize a dedicated county employee who, due to her humility, and on May 9th, when my wife Vicki and Commissioner Durancheck celebrated their birthdays, and we had some birthday cake in the office after the board meeting. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate as the county executive the diligent efforts put forth on behalf of all county residents and the county government here of Debbie Russell, who on May 9th celebrated 40 years of dedicated service to Bay County. So. She's irreplaceable, so hopefully she's not planning on going anywhere.
Commissioner Krieger.
So I didn't realize that we hired people at 15.
I started very.
Very.
High school co-op.
Very. So move to adjourn.
Support. I have support. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.